Iran's foreign minister says their UN envoy did not meet with Musk, despite the report in the New York Times. That official says the story is an attempt to test the waters about the relationship between Iranian and American leaders. Here with us now is Bruen, former U.S. diplomat under the Obama administration and president of the Global Situation Room. Brett, good morning. Welcome back.
Good to be with you.
Iran's foreign minister says his country is waiting for the incoming administration to clarify the stance regarding Iran. What do you see White House policy towards Iran look like in a second Trump presidency?
Look, Trump has been very bellicose when it comes to Iran. Obviously, he also issued the order to take out Qasem Soleimani, who was the famous, infamous, perhaps better said, Iranian general who had led the Quds Force and had been responsible for so many assassination and other extremist activity across the region. So I don't think that Trump is going to change course from where he was in his first term. That being said, what we will likely see is an effort at trying to reach some sort of deal between Hamas, Hezbollah, the Gulf countries, and look, Iran as the primary backer of those groups is going to be somehow involved. So could there be somehow a trifecta that brings Iran back into the fold that changes relations between Washington and Tehran? It's possible.
Let's talk about the Middle East a bit more. Can you talk to me, Brett, about the chances of ceasefire deals? You mentioned Lebanon with Hezbollah, Gaza with Hamas, before Biden leaves office within the next 2 months.
Yeah, look, I think on the one hand, we're likely to see an escalation from Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, because he knows that over the next several months, the next 2 months, he has a window before Trump gets into office to try and bank a number of the advances and to achieve his military objectives. It also serves to, quite frankly, embarrass Biden, to show that Biden has been ineffectual in his efforts to try and bring the situation both in Gaza and now in Lebanon under control. And then Trump can walk in, and Trump and Netanyahu obviously have a long, close relationship, and can leverage that to try and reach some sort of deal. And let's not forget that Trump was the author, the president under whom the Abraham Accords that established normal relations between Israel and a number of the Gulf states was achieved. He's also got strong relations with the Saudis. So perhaps there is a deal to be had.
I want to ask you about Trump's foreign policy picks. Former Governor Mike Huckabee, he's on the show a lot. Ambassador to Israel, Senator Marco Rubio, Secretary of State. He's going to be greeted by Israel and its adversaries. How do you think they're going to react overseas about these picks?
Well, I've been traveling around Europe the past week, in Brussels, in Paris, now in Dublin. I think there's some cautious optimism when it comes to picks like John Ratcliffe, like Senator Marco Rubio, as well as Mike Waltz, his national security advisor. There's obviously some level of concern when we start talking about former Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard. So I think our allies know that they're going to have to contend with some, let's just say, non-traditional figures in Trump's national security team. That being said, it really comes down to a question of who are the most influential voices. And if you can have a national security advisor, a secretary of state, who are really driving that foreign policy, I think our allies will be reassured.
Let's move on to Russia's war in Ukraine. President Zelensky says the war could come to an end sooner with Trump in office. He said it in a local podcast in Ukraine. Your thoughts on that assessment?
Look, Zelensky has got to play nice with Trump. He ultimately is interested in trying to get the best possible deal he can for his country. But I think he knows he's going to have to give up some territory as part of this deal. It's a question really of how much. Now, perhaps smartly, strategically, he had launched that invasion into Russia, taking parts of the Russian province of Kursk. So he has a little bit more to negotiate with. But I think ultimately, and speaking with European leaders here, I think they expect that Trump will come into office. He's likely not to delay or to turn down military aid immediately, but instead use that to leverage a better negotiating position, both with Zelensky as well as with Putin.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.